I am going to be attempting the impossible challenge of ranking the 20 worst fragrances in my entire 120 plus bottle collection. Let's go. Not all of the fragrances on this list are actually terrible, because not to flex, I think my whole collection is actually pretty good, so some of these aren't bad. These are just the 20 worst. At the number 20 spot is Xerjoff Erba Pura. This has gotten a lot of hype recently because it's sweet, it's sexy, and the projection is beast mode, but for my personal preference, it is way too feminine. I do like a little bit unisex kind of zesty fragrance here and there. This thing, in my opinion though, smells a lot like a woman's perfume. This would suit my mum a lot better than me. I also find that it is just too strong. Sometimes the projection, it's nice when a fragrance is strong, when people can smell it. This thing is just too beast mode. Any more than 2 sprays, I get a headache, it annoys me, it annoys everyone around me. I just find it hard to wear. In at number 19 is Gucci Guilty EDP. This was kindly gifted to me. I did not pay $1 for it, but unfortunately, I really don't like it. I would not spend $10 on this fragrance. To me, it is just the definition of an average, basic men's cologne, and there is nothing that annoys me more than an average men's cologne. And it also has a weird kind of musky dry down, which kind of smells like BO to my nose for some reason. I can see why it's quite popular, I can see why it would get compliments and it would have a lot of mass appeal. It's just really not for me. At number 18, we have Mancera's Red Tobacco. Once upon a time, this actually used to be my favorite fragrance of all time. When I only owned around 10 fragrances, the opening is just way too synthetic, in your face, harsh. It basically just smells like an ashtray. The dry down is quite nice. I just never reached for it because Parfums de Marley Carlisle is a similar scent profile, just done infinitely times better. The projection, the longevity though, is very good. I'll give it that. Maybe when I'm like 50 years old, I could see myself wearing this, but for right now, this deserves to be in the top 20 worst. Next is Versace Eros Eau de Parfum. Both the Eau de Toilette and the Eau de Parfum can make this list. My days of using this fragrance are just simply done. I'm just so sick and bored of it because it was my signature scent for so long. Is that personal bias and hatred towards the fragrance unfair, unjustified? Maybe a little bit, but this is my list at the end of the day. I also, just about 5 minutes ago, picked up the new Versace Eros Energy, which is pretty decent. If you guys want a full video on this one though, let me know in the comments right now. At the number 16 spot is Bond number 9 Beekman Palace? Beekman Place? This is the newest Bond number 9 release. It was gifted to me by Bond number 9, but to me it smells like a mix of Versace, Hawas, and Creed Aventus, but the baby that they had together just came out a little bit mutated. I just don't think this is worth the extreme price tag. In fact, I'm doing a giveaway of it on my TikTok, and I'm going to give this a lucky winner in Australia, because myself, I just don't want to own it anymore. I do not see this having a place in my collection. And I also think the bottle is kind of ugly. We are at the number 15 spot already, and we have another Mancera. This one is Tonka Cola. Now, I did really used to like this. I can appreciate how unique and kind of artistic it is. If you really like the smell of Haribo Coca-Cola gummies, I'm sure you would love this fragrance. Me personally, I don't want to walk around smelling like a Coke bottle. It is a bit too artistic for me. Yeah, I don't want to smell like Dr. Pepper. I'm sorry, that's why it's on here, because I'm never gonna wear it again. Up next at the number 14 spot is Versace Hawas. This used to be around 2 years ago, great value for money. It was 50 bucks, it smelled like Invictus for cheap, it lasted longer than Invictus, but now in 2024, all of the batches being released are so watered down that I simply can't recommend it anymore. And because of how frustrating it is that they watered it down and reformulated it, I wanted to put it on this list as a warning to you now. I don't think Versace Hawas is worth buying in 2024. Versace Hawas Ice though, I do think is worth it. It smells better. It lasts a similar amount of time to the old batches of Versace Hawas, and it's only around $20 or $30 more. Next up, I believe at the number 13 spot now, is this little guy right here, Coach for Men. Now, this fragrance actually just isn't bad at all. It just frustrates me sometimes when a fragrance just smells so boring, unoriginal, uninnovative, and I just hate it. It's just so much lavender, it's so barbershop-like, it's just fresh, clean, boring fragrance. Up next, at the number 12 spot is Club de Nuit Iconic. Club de Nuit Intense, man. Great fragrance. Club de Nuit Iconic though, it smells like if Bleu de Chanel went rotten and expired in the sun. It's really bad. I really do not like this fragrance. No matter how cheap it is, I don't think it smells good. The performance is good though, for a cheap freshie, but the smell, no. Speaking of Club de Nuit, at the number 12 spot is Club de Nuit Intense Man EDP. Now, I think the EDT and the Parfum are both great fragrances, but the reason the EDP is on this list is because it's kind of a scam in my opinion. You're paying about 50 bucks more than the EDT, and it smells the exact same. All you get is an extra 100 ml of fragrance, and there's no way you're even gonna go through an 100 ml bottle. Let's be honest here, guys. You probably own over 10 fragrances. You're never gonna go through that much cologne anyway. Save the money and get the EDT, or if you wanna be bougie and spend more, get the Parfum. The EDP doesn't deserve to be here. It is completely redundant. Borderline a scam from Amarth, I'm not gonna lie. We have officially made it to the halfway mark. I think I did get the numbers a bit wrong, but at number 10 we have Light Blue Forever by Dolce & Gabbana. I used to think I liked the smell of grapefruit. Turns out when a fragrance just solely smells like grapefruit and you get no other notes, it goes rotten on my skin. I feel like this fragrance is going to be very skin dependent. On me personally, it smells like rotten eggs. So do most of the entire Light Blue line, especially Light Blue Intense. But other people love this stuff. They love Light Blue Intense as well. I recommend just trying it in store before you buy it. Don't blind buy this one. For me, it just doesn't work. But for you, you might love it. So I don't want to talk too negatively about this. At the number 9 spot is a fragrance I was gifted. It is Montale's Holy Neroli. Turns out I hate the smell of neroli, so that's my personal bias and hatred towards this fragrance. It smells like neroli. I don't like the smell of neroli. That is why it is at the number 9 spot. This one, oh, so bad. I'm sorry. While we are on the topic of neroli, at the number 8 spot we have Maison Alhambra's Porto Neroli. Now, I don't even know if Maison Alhambra is still in business because I'm pretty sure they got sued by Tom Ford. This is a dupe of Tom Ford's Neroli Portofino, which I've never tried. So I can't tell you if this is a good, solid dupe of that fragrance. The only good thing, in my opinion, about this is that it is dirt cheap. It's like 30 or 40 USD. But again, it just smells like neroli. I hate the smell of neroli. That's why this fragrance is here. It smells bad. At the number 7 spot is my least favorite Jean Paul Gaultier fragrance ever created, and it is Le Male Elixir. Now, yes, this might seem a little low down. This probably could have been a number like 20 or something, but I just wanted to get the point across that this fragrance is not blind buy safe. It is so freaking sweet. Still probably the sweetest fragrance I have ever tried, and for that reason, I never wear it. The honey note is so overpowering. It is a compliment beast though, and it is very strong. I can't take that away from the fragrance. I just personally really do not enjoy wearing this one. That is why it's on this list. At number 6 is AFNAN 9 AM. This one, for good reason, was not nearly as hyped or talked about as AFNAN 9 PM. It is just such a basic, fresh, clean, citrusy fragrance. The reason it is so down far on this list is because Versace Pour Homme exists, Mont Blanc Legend Spirit exists, Mont Blanc Explorer exists. There are so many cheap freshies that are so superior to AFNAN 9 AM, and I strongly recommend you get those instead. We have officially made it to the top 5 worst of the worst in my collection. We're going to start it off strong or weak, I don't know actually, with the original 1 million. I have never been a fan of this fragrance ever since I got into fragrances at 16 when I was looking for my first one. I came into the fragrance store with Jeremy's recommendations. The original 1 million, Versace Eros, Dior Sauvage. I left with Versace Eros and Dior Sauvage. 1 million I've never liked since I was 16 years old. Again, this is a very personal thing, as fragrances are. Go and try it yourself. If you like it, get it. However, I highly recommend that you try 1 million Elixir, 1 million Royal, 1 million Parfum. I all think they are much better than the original. For some reason, me and this fragrance have just never got along, so it's in the top 5 worst. I'm sorry to tell you. At the number 4 spot is a fragrance that I wasn't even going to include on this list because a lot of you might not even consider it as a real fragrance, but it is Cristiano Ronaldo's CR7 Eau de Toilette. The reason I put it on this list is because, at least in Australia, it's extremely popular. It's very affordable. A lot of younger guys are buying it. However, to me, this is just a terribly done version of the original Jean Paul Gaultier Le Male DNA. In the opening, it actually does do a decent job. It's around 70% similar, but the dry down is horrendous. Just save up and get the original Le Male. Unless you love Ronaldo, then maybe you just want it because it's the Ronaldo cologne. But Ronaldo actually has some other good fragrances that aren't this one. CR7 Game On, great dupe of Strong With You Intensely. CR7 Play It Cool smells pretty close to Invictus EDT. This one just smells like butt cheeks. I wouldn't go near it. In at the number 3 spot is a fragrance that I used to hype up once upon a time, and that is Nautica Voyage. This fragrance actually used to not be a bad choice maybe 3 or 4 years ago when Arabian dupes weren't as big, when there weren't as many cheap freshies on the market. But now that there are so many great affordable colognes on the market, there is no need to buy Nautica Voyage. It's super synthetic. It lasts only around 4 to 5 hours. To me, it just smells like a salty cucumber. And I don't know about you, I don't want to smell like a salty cucumber. I will say though, it is one of my dad's favorite fragrances in my entire collection. So maybe it's worth a try just for that one fun fact. But I don't think it is. I wouldn't go near it personally. Versace Pour Homme, get that instead. The last 2 on this list. Now this is where it just kind of gets funny because I can just roast them and I don't even care what you think in the comments because you're never going to change my mind on these fragrances. This first one was a gift to me from my sister, DS and Derja El Cosmico. I feel like this isn't a very well-known fragrance. Oh my god, it's awful. It's been around 6 months since I've smelt this again. I just keep it in my collection because when I make a worst fragrances video like this one, I love mentioning it, but I hate smelling it again because to me, it literally just smells like you walked into a forest and all of the trees are like rotting away. It is the woodiest, most over-masculine fragrance I have ever smelled in my life. I can't even picture a grandpa wearing this thing. Oh, it's so bad. Please never buy this or even try it. It's not worth it. And at the number 1 spot, the worst fragrance in my entire collection. If you've been following me for a while, you probably already guessed it. It is none other than Versace Blue Jeans. Does this smell as bad as El Cosmico? No, but I feel like me and this fragrance just have some beef to squash. I wanted to put this at number 1. It actually smells not as bad as when I first tried it. It has kind of grown on me in a weird way, but I still absolutely hate it. I would never wear it unironically. Floral, woody, fresh. People in my TikTok comments seem to think they're funny or something, calling this a fresh and clean, cheap fragrance. No, it's not. No one that I've made try this, friends, family, girlfriend, none of them like this fragrance, okay? Please don't buy this. Oh, it smells like hand soap, actually. That's the best way to describe this. Versace hand soap. That should be what this is renamed to. That is going to wrap it up on ranking the 20 worst fragrances in my entire cologne collection. I hope you love this video. These are super fun to make. I love these ranking videos. If you want more, let me know in the comments. And if you want that video on Versace Eros Energy, let me know as well. Have a blessed rest of your day. Like, subscribe, tick the bell for notifications. It is completely free, but it helps me out a lot. See you later.